So right now, I'm probably close to about $40 million in listings. In our neighborhood, a $3 million house is now a $6 million house. And that $6 million house is gonna take a lot longer to sell. After every deal, I analyze and I sit down and I literally write out a list of what I did really well and what I really need to, what I wish I would have done better. But the end goal is somebody wants to sell and somebody wants to buy.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that you really need to keep in mind.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes, when you think $30,000 in the scheme of things, and I don't know where that got you or what it taught you, but there are times when, say it's a really busy street and you're thinking, oh, they want X amount of dollars and this is going to be really hard. And, I switch my thought process and I go, you know what? My name on that busy street and my sign on that busy street, if I spend $5,000 in marketing that home, me to do one ad in D Magazine or Modern Luxury is going to probably be $8,000. I'm going to get more exposure with my sign sitting out in front of a really beautiful home on a really busy street than doing advertising.
Amazing.
So I just, and there are times when I'll think, you know what, I was able to market it. I was able to, and from a tax perspective, you need tax write-offs, think of it that way too.
Yes.
So you just have to, look at all of it like we're running a business.
Yes.
There's no guarantee. We're entrepreneurs. Every house that I take on, it's a new business. I'm starting a new business from scratch.
Yes.
And I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I'll tell you what, if I put money into it, I'm sure going to work my tail off to make sure that it gets sold.
And she does. $7 million ranch she sold last year.
Yep.
Talk
Sugar
to us
Ridge.
about some of your highest listings you've ever sold.
Yeah, so right now I'm probably close to about $40 million in listings that are active. And I've probably like 6 or 7 houses right now. One's pending, just got a luxury leased. I was super excited to get that taken care of for my clients. But yeah, and the market's changed a little bit, and I think throughout probably the US, inventory, we still don't have a ton of it. Prices have really increased the past couple of years. So, in our neighborhood, a $3 million house is now a $6 million house. And that $6 million house is going to take a lot longer to sell. So that investment and that cycle, and it's hard for us as agents that have been in this market for a while. Everything was selling really quickly, and now you make something active and you may not have a showing for a week or two, and you're kind of like, what's happening? What's going on? But I take that and I do a paid boost and ad on Facebook, or I think to myself, what can I do? What marketing? What can I do? And to me, it just motivates me to get it out there more. Yes. And a lot of what I do right now on my boosted social media is I target Chicago, New York, and LA. And I pick out the wealthiest zip codes in those neighborhoods because that's what my luxury listings are at. And I target Facebook and Instagram. My social media, I target to those people specifically.
So strong.
And I don't know if it's going to work, but I don't want to target it to my neighborhood per se. I want those people coming in to see my $6 million listing. So that's kind of, and I think I don't know if we have the answer.
Your buyers come from.
I hope so.
And then you target them. That's genius, actually, because yes, she's in the highest price point in Texas, but where does this price point seem cheap? And she figured out where those people are, and then that's ingenious. And then you targeted them instead of just hammering and spending all this money just in the air.
Yeah.
That's genius.
And you can, on your social media and your boosted post, and on each one I'll do $5 a day for 6 days, $30.
Yeah.
And you can pick out your zip codes. So I literally were most expensive zip codes in LA, most expensive zip codes in Chicago, most expensive zip codes in New York.
Analytics by Valerie.
Yeah, analytics by Valerie. This is old lady technology.
No, but it's that we we overcomplicate everything sometimes, and it's so simple. I mean, yes, like a tech guy or a finance guy who wants to get out of the city and wants to be in a great school district, that's her buyer.
Yeah.
And to them, $8 million, it's a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan in Soho.
Yeah.
And it's 11,000 square feet here.
That's right.
So that's genius. So what is next for you, Valerie? What are you looking to do right now?
I think just keep doing what I'm doing and just keep getting better at it. I always, any class that I teach at the brokerage, I tell every agent that after every deal, I analyze and I sit down and I literally write out a list of what I did really well and what I really need to, what I wish I would have done better. And there could be things like maybe we got an offer and I didn't really push my clients to take it, and then we ended up selling the house for less because that offer was going to be the best offer. It could be things like, man, I should have been more aggressive with my sellers, or I wish I would have done XYZ, or who knows, but I really take every deal and I try to learn from it, and then just to make myself be a better agent for the next time.
That is so genius.
So that's it. Just be a better me every day, and be a good mom and wife and friend.
So every deal you do, you're like, how can I get better? It's not just, I cash this check, I'm going to go buy some nonsense. It's, let me write out everything that I learned from this so I can get better, sharpen my skills.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's why you're doing $40 million in deals right now.
Oh, goodness.
Off of what, 8 houses?
Yeah, probably 6, maybe?
6. Imagine that, doing $40 million in GCI from 6 homes. That's 6 sets of people, which in sometimes real estate will say 6 sets of headaches. Yeah. Not because we mean to be, anyone, right? No. As a seller, I was a headache. We all can be that way. We're emotionally attached.
Oh, the emotion is so high that you just can't even, think about the process. You're just, I always say love where you live and love who you work with. Mm-hmm. And, there's got to be a lot of grace in real estate because it's very emotional and it's tough. And, but the end goal is somebody wants to sell and somebody wants to buy.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that you really need to keep in mind.